Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. So glad that you've come back to join me for another tutorial today. In my last tutorial I showed you the pocket card in portrait style. This time I've got it and the pocket card done in landscape. So it's just a different orientation of the pocket card and completely different measurements. So I know a lot of you like the measurements, so I'm going to go through all the measurements for you. So with this card here, I've used the Delightful Daisy Designer Series paper, and I've used the Pretty Kitty stamp set for my images. And then I've just adhered them to the pocket card with stamping dimensionals. And then of course I've got the little note card inside where you've got plenty of room to write on. Now I did have to play around a little bit with the note card measurements, because when you put the tear and tape down here it just quite wasn't going in. So I've had in the card we're going to make now, it's going to be a little bit smaller. The note card's going to be a little bit smaller, but it's still a great card to make. So to start with, I'm going to use one of the new in colours today, which is Lemon Lime Twist. Now for the measurements, it is 9 inches long by 5.5 inches wide and scored at 4.5 and at 1 inch. So it's completely different measurements if you do it in the landscape. So then we're just going to, so those of you that saw the tutorial the other day in the portrait style, you can see that the measurements are completely different if you want to do this landscape style. I like both. I like mix matching them when I make a few of them. To send off, I like to do half and half, so I thought I'd just come back and show you the measurements for this one. So then for the insert, which is also Lemon Lime Twist cardstock, of course, and it measures 4.5 inches by 4.25. That's for your insert. Okay. So to start with, now we're going to move on to the Designer Series paper. So the little thing on there. So the Designer Series paper is, okay, sorry about that. The Designer Series paper is from the Eastern Palace, which went live on June the 1st in the new Stamping Up catalogue. And as always, it's all double-sided, so it's quite nice for me to show you, as I'm doing it, what the other side is. So for the inside piece, which is going to be this piece, it measures 5.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So we're just going to adhere that with some snail. Now with this particular pattern it doesn't really matter, I don't have to be super careful of putting my pattern upside down, but my one tip would be, if you're using pattern paper, just be careful that you put it in the right way, otherwise you don't want your pattern being upside down. So I just want to line that right up to the edge. And let that come down on itself. Just grab my bone folder, give it a really good burnish, because I don't think I did that. It's one important thing with these cards, you must burnish your scored lines. Okay, And then the outside piece is 5.5 inches by 3.5, which is going to go there. So we'll just pop some snail on there. As I said the other day, there's such an easy card to make. Might go this way this time. So snug right up there. Then we're going to put our tear and tape on both sides. And as I said the other day, and even more importantly with this card, is try and get it right to the edge. I wouldn't use snail to adhere this down because it will not last the distance. You need a really strong adhesive. To keep your card together. You don't want to be making a card for someone and it falls apart after they've received it. And these cards will fit in the normal Stampin' Up! C6 envelope as well, just so you know. And then we just need a piece across the flap underneath. Like that. And then we're just going to fold that back down. And once again, you've got your pocket formed already there. Then you just need a piece for the flap, which is 5.5 inches by 3/4 of an inch wide. So we're just going to pop that on there. I love making these cards. They're just so easy, and every time you use a different design series paper, it just, every single one looks different, even though it's the same sort of card that you're making. And as I said the other day, these are fantastic cards to do if you have to do a bulk lot. And they can be used as invites, literally anything. Okay, so then we want our insert. Now, just make sure I get it the right way. So it's going to go in that way. It could go in either way really. I think it goes, because one side is just a little bit, as I said, I had to sort of change the measurements for this one because they weren't quite fitting. So then we've got designer series paper, which is 4 inches by 4 inches on top of your insert. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White, which you could make yours smaller if you want more of the design series paper to show. And that measures 3 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so we'll just, and I've pre-stamped it, so I've popped the sentiment on top and I've stamped the little flowers down here, which is from the Birthday Blossoms stamp set. So I've just used these flowers here from the Birthday Blossoms, and I've used the same sentiment, "You are amazing, remember that," from the hostess stamp, Feathery Friends. The sentiment is from that, so just so you know. So we'll just adhere all that together. So we've got our insert all done. And I've already stamped and coloured the flowers just to save some time, because I just basically wanted to show you the measurements for these pocket cards. So with the flowers that I'm going to put on the front of this card, I have stamped them in StazOn jet black ink, then coloured them, and I have just added a little bit of Wink of Stella Clear. Just eyeball it so it's as straight as you can have it. So we'll just push that down, and then we're just going to pop that in the card. So I just like to have it so it's just to the top of the card, like so, so that the recipient can see the sentiment. Just there we go. Okay, so from the Birthday Blossoms, I stamped the leaves and the flowers and then coloured them, and I added some Wink of Stella. I just watercoloured them with some Stampin' Up ink pads, and used an aqua painter brush. And then once it was dry, I just cut them out and added some Wink of Stella. So I'm just going to see where I want these to go. So I'm going to glue the leaves. I'm going to glue the leaves down. Just leave that flower there so I can see approximately where I want it. Just using the multi-purpose liquid glue. It's mainly to get some out on the tip. So we want that approximately there. And then I'm going to put the flowers, oops, slipped. It's a good thing with the multi-purpose glue, you can just push it back. And just going to pop those on there on dimensionals. So we'll just grab a few dimensionals and pop them on there. And I don't think I fit one in there, so we'll just pull them off. That's plenty of dimensionals to hold it in place. just one more. There we go. So bring it across and just position that where I want it. About there. Just pop that down. And then I can just easily see where I want to slide those in there like that. Because once I put the glue on them, I don't want that one's going to pop up a little bit, so I just have to remember not to put glue right to the point of that one. So I'll just start with that one. And we'll just pop that under there. And that hasn't got any glue at the very tip, so it's not going to destroy it in any way. And then we're just going to pop a dimensional onto that one. I might even pop two on there if they'll fit. And they'll pop up nicely on the bottom of your card. So we're nearly finished, just as a little extra down in the corner here, we're just going to have a couple of little extra flowers to balance the card out, and that's your card finished. That's in the landscape mode, so this is the two of them together. So you can see by just using different designer series paper and different images how different cards can look. So I hope you'll give that technique a try, and thank you for popping in and watching my tutorial today, and until next time, this is Angela Westland. Thank you for watching.